Welcome to Miracle Network's Wednesday meditation. I'm so glad we're all here together. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe button below to receive updates and notifications. Today we're joined by Nick Arandes, who will lead us in meditation. Then we have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we're going to open it up for sharing. We end at 10:45. Over to you, Nick.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. And what I am going to do is I am going to refer to lesson 160 of the course, which says, I am at home, fear is the stranger here. So what I will do is I'll tell you the first paragraph, and during the meditation or the contemplation process, I am going to go through that first paragraph with you, and then we'll remain in silence. So if you want, Teresa, you can go ahead and start the bell, and we start from now. Okay. I'm going to ask you to relax and close your eyes. But the reason why I'm asking you to close your eyes is just so that less distraction seems to be around while we put our attention on what is going to be addressed here today. Lesson 60 says, fear is a stranger to the ways of love. Okay? Actually, the title of the lesson is, I am at home, fear is the stranger here. That'll be lesson 60. So let's contemplate on that. I am at home, fear is strange here. The first question that I'm going to ask is, what is fear? Think about it for a moment. What is fear? And what tends to happen is that we begin to associate fear with specifics. Fear means this could happen to me. Fear means something could go wrong. Fear means I'm afraid that I could lose something. You see? But that is a way of overlooking that fear is nothing more than any thought that we believe in. Because even if the thought, I am having a wonderful time in Hawaii, it is fear. Because it assumes that I am somewhere else, not at home. I am this body, and this body is in a world, and this world is having, or this body is having a wonderful time in Hawaii. See, that thought is fear because it assumes that I am somewhere else, that I am not at home in God right now. And the thought, I am this individual, is the first thought that gets in the way. And consequently, every single other thought serves to feed this thought that says, I am this individual. So looking at the lesson now, the first paragraph, fear is a stranger to the ways of love. What is love? Once again, the mind can conjure up all sorts of meanings to love. Love is what I feel for this other person. Love is what I feel for myself. Love is when this person or people behave in a particular way. I love this as long as it gives me something back. But love, in a sense, or at least my understanding and the practice of the course, going back to the introduction, this course cannot teach you the meaning of love because that is beyond that can be taught. You don't remove the obstacles. Well, then what are the obstacles to love? Thoughts. Any thought that I believe in is an obstacle to what I am. See, that's why I am that I am. Any thought that somehow give validity to the belief that I'm this person, that is a separation, there's something out there, keeps reinforcing the fear. And once again, I am at home. And any thought that I believe in is an obstacle to the fact that I am. I am at home. The next sentence says, identify with fear and you will be a stranger to yourself. In other words, identify with any thoughts about yourself, about who you think you are, about anything, and you become a stranger to yourself. When you're in bed and you're dreaming, if you identify with any part of the dream, it doesn't matter whether it's a pleasant part or an unpleasant one. If you identify with any part of the dream, you are a stranger to yourself because you are not in the dream. You are the one dreaming the dream. And the thought is the obstacle to that. The third sentence says, and thus you are unknown to you. How do you know that you're the one in bed dreaming the dream if the attention is on the dream, even on the you who thinks that it is in the dream? The next sentence, what is yourself, capital S, remains an alien to the part of you which thinks that it is real, but different from yourself. What is it that makes you believe that you're different from who you are? The thought that says, I am this individual. And then I use other thoughts to prove that that is true. How do I know that is true? Well, I have a body. I have a name. I live in this country. I believe this or don't believe that. Look at other people. Look at everything around me, you see? All of these are interpretations that overlooks the fact that I am. And we're pointing to what I am. We're not pointing to any conceptual idea of who I am. We're pointing to the fact that I am. If you get any thought out of the way, meaning if you take the fear out of the way, what is left? What I am. And that I am is love, which is what you are always. While you seem to be doing a contemplation right now with me. And when you open your eyes, the I am will continue. And if you don't believe the thoughts, you're resting at least in the awareness that I am, which is not the real truth of what I am, but at least you get the fragrance of it, which is refers to as the peace that passes all understanding. The next sentence go, who could be sane in such circumstances? In other words, who could be sane believing that is a body? Who could be sane believing that this world is a reality? Who could be sane if I believe this is who I am, this is my truth? It's impossible because what you are is prior to this seeming appearance. This contemplation is not to feed a character that is now trying to do a contemplation. I'm just using words to point to something that can never be understood nor comprehended with the conceptual mind. Needless to say, you are. You cannot say what you are. You cannot say who you are, but you cannot deny the fact that you are. This is where this is all pointing to. And the last sentence of that paragraph says, but who a madman could believe he is what he is not and judge against himself. What are you? What are you not? This is not something that the mind can understand, nor it can answer, but you cannot negate the fact that you are. So what we're going to do is that through the rest of this contemplation until the end of this meditation, which again, I rather not to label it anything, just notice that you are, but not conceptually. Right now, can you say that you are not? Can you say that you don't exist? See, that is direct experience. That is not theory. That is not something that will happen in the future. It's a fact. The fact is that I am. But any thought that we superimpose on that I am is a distraction. Even the thought I am contemplating. Right now, you are at home. As the Course reminds us, you're at home in God right now, dreaming of exile, meaning I am at home in God, believing my thoughts. You see? But perfectly capable to awaken to reality, meaning, but perfectly capable of not believing any of my thoughts or any of the thoughts, because they're not even mine. I want you to feel, to realize that you are already home. Just don't believe anything you think. Doesn't matter. I'm not saying the thoughts will not be there. They will be there. But if you don't believe in them, you're having then the direct experience to what is close to the love that the Course is pointing to. Because love in the end is not a feeling, it's not a sensation, it's the absence of judgment, the absence of fear, you see? Not the absence of thoughts in a way that thoughts won't be there, but the absence of believing any thoughts, beginning with the thought, I am this individual. Believing with any thought that I use to somehow justify that I am who I think I am. I am a man, I am a woman, I am a body, I am English, I am Puerto Rican, I am this, I am that, I am good, I am bad, I am happy, unhappy. It doesn't matter. These are just simply labels that we attach to a something, and that seeming something is the obstacle itself. That's how we're not trying to become anything. We simply are. I am at home. Right now, I am at home. Fear is a stranger here. You see, you are at home right now. Just don't believe any thoughts. Just don't believe them. That's all. Let them be there. Let the thought, I am from Puerto Rico, be there. That's fine. For practical purpose in the world of illusion is functional. But as lesson 155 reminds us, there's a way of living in the world that is not of it, even though it appears to be so. What does it mean? In the world of appearance, I still act like someone who's here, but don't take the specifics of the illusory world seriously. Yes, to my daughter, well, I don't have a daughter, but for those of you, to your children, you may be a parent. That's fine. Functional wise, it seems to work, but you know that that's not true. You're not a parent. You're not a child. You're not a brother. You're not a sister. You're not your job. You're not your title. You're not anything that the mind suggests. You simply are. This is invitation. That's it. So when this contemplation or investigation, whatever you feel you want to call this experience, when it is over and you open your eyes and you go on and live in the world of appearances, you live in a world with a mind that is not of it. And you smile more often. Not because things have changed, but because the mentality with which you were identified is no longer there. And now you play the role as an actor in a movie without believing the content of the movie. And that's how you live happily. Not even ever after, because there's no future. This is it. So this is the invitation now. For the rest of this contemplation or meditation or whatever you want to refer to this moment, just observe thoughts and see how ephemeral they are, how illusory they are. Just be. Let the thoughts be. That's fine. You're the witness. And not even the word witness is correct because it assumes that there's something being witnessing of, but within the limitation of language, we're using that for now. Just be. That beingness, it's home. It feels like home because it's the closest to what really is home. And in that beingness, there is no fear because there is no thought suggesting anything. There is peace. There is love because there's no judgment. Judgment, again, is a thought. So just rest in what is. Enjoy the love that you are always, even when sometimes a thought may cross and we cannot distract ourselves. Not a problem. We choose again, as the Course says, choose again. What does it mean choosing again? Just let go. That's it. So technically, it's not really a choice. It appears that way. It's just being, you see? You're always being. You can never not be. There you go. This is it. Now rest in beingness. Just be. Because you cannot not be.
open your eyes and come back into the room. We have 15 minutes left for sharing your comments and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand and I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. Who'd like to start? Lottie, take yourself off mute.
Thank you, and thank you, Nick, for that meditation. I'm very much one for casting out fear. You know, there's nothing to fear. It's my mantra, really. There's nothing to fear. And I was telling the group before this started that I had been feeling quite poorly for a few days, and yesterday things started to come back together again. And I realized that the poorliness was all based in the fear that I'd been feeling. I'd had arranged a sort of family get together on Sunday, and that doesn't always go well, but it went really well on Sunday. So I'd been rather dreading it, and it was good. And then yesterday, I think it had morphed into a fear that I was really going downhill and I really wasn't going to live very much longer. And I'm not afraid of dying. But I was afraid of getting it wrong somehow. You know, I wanted to hold on to the joy of dying, and that all came back yesterday because everything just happened perfectly yesterday afternoon. Someone came out of the blue and said, "I'd like to come and see you. I haven't seen you for ages." So I said, "Yes, do come." And she was obviously quite nervous of coming, but I think we managed to quell her fears of being there. And then I went for a nap, and just as I was unnapping, I can't say waking up because that has a different meaning, doesn't it? Somebody came to the door, and it was someone that I really, really was pleased to see, someone I hadn't seen for a while, and he'd brought his partner and partner's son with him, and we had a lovely time together. And just as they left, someone came to take away some things. And this is all too much story, but everything just happened time and again, exactly at the right moment. I've been looking for something and thinking, where on earth is that thing? And someone telephoned, and I took the phone into another room, and in that room was the thing I've been looking for, right in front of me. So it was just perfect all the time. And I came out of that feeling so much better. It's a wonderful experience of the link between spirit and mind and body. And I was blaming body for not feeling well, and it wasn't my body at all. Thank you.
You're welcome. You want me to comment on that?
Yes.
Okay. When you started relating the story, the first question that I would ask, who's the one relating that story? See, when that is overlooked, forget it. You're lost in the thing. Now, when you're referred to as something happened that it was fear or whatever, but then something happened that things were okay or whatever the case may be. What we're pointing here is that if you take that thing that seemed to be okay, that judgment to that thing to be okay is part of the distraction, because it assumed that the reason why you felt the way you did is because things didn't go the way I think the mind suggests you should. But things go the way they go. The only thing that leads me to experiencing fear in any way is not how things go, is the interpretation I'm giving to anything. So if you are aware that you are, and that's it, just being, even if the family behaves in horrible ways, makes no difference to you. You see? And if it so happens that then something happened that you may say is a wonderful thing, makes no difference to you. That doesn't mean that you're like indifferent. It's not that you don't care, it's that you don't mind, meaning you don't believe the content of the mind, because the mind is the one that says this is good, this is bad. And as long as you believe in one, you're going to have to believe the other one. And you will always going to be in this zigzag, however you call that little thing. The invitation here is to realize that if I don't believe any thoughts, whether the thought my family is behaving in a way or this person brought me flowers, if I don't believe any of these thoughts, then I am just being, you see? Because everything that seems to happen that I judge, if you really look at the core, it has to attach to something, to this me. You see, I am the one who say that I'm not afraid of dying. I am the one who like when things go this way. I am the one who doesn't like when they go that way. But that I is the problem. The belief that I am this individual. So when you're in bed at night and you're dreaming, who cares if in the dream somebody brought you flowers or somebody stole your house? But if you forget that you're the one in the dream, you tell yourself the story. Things went bad and I felt fear, but things went great and I feel bad. But it's because you have projected yourself out of the bed into your own mind, into the dream. You see? That's why in the end, all stories, whether they're positive or negative, are personal. We need to
Bless
find
you. Thank you, Nick. I was aware that I'd made it all up in the end, but it
It's
took
all
me
made
a while
up.
to get there.
Even the you who thinks that is talking to me is a made up story.
Mm.
It's a made up story from that which supposedly, you see, supposedly is bringing all this. So what the course invites us, at least to my understanding and the practice through this instrument, is to remember that nothing means anything and just be. And if you're being, then now you're just the witness of the movie. And yes, sometimes there'll be pain, yes, and there'll be pleasure sometimes, but it's just life. And you rest as life, and then you're at peace that passes all understanding. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, who'd like to share? Norman.
Yes, thank you. My meditation is rather strange. It's like a kaleidoscope thing. The colors change, but they eventually settle down into some sort of shape. But these colors were sort of like not in focus. And then I suddenly thought, oh, there's a nose. So I tried to focus in on it. And it disappeared, sort of in all the colors. And then my ego was in, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's the other thing. And eventually it went away, and I suppose you could call them just mixed up colours. There doesn't seem any rhyme or reason to them. But the funny thing was, towards the end, when the bell went, I was feeling quite peaceful, just looking at it, just aware that they were there. But they did go away, I must admit, when I started to think what it was all this about. So I don't know if that was as an I am event or what, but it was certainly very different. So I thought I would just pass it over and see what you think.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Without going too much into, in generally speaking, whatever experience or images or anything that might have appeared or so, just seeing as that. Don't. It's just like this. You see, the image of you seeing colors or something is no different than the image of you looking at a lot of faces in a Zoom. It's all the same thing because it's experiential and it belongs to the seeming apparent individual, you know. Now, one thing that I always try to point to is when people say my ego. You see, there's a little trick there. You don't have an ego because the ego is a thought. But as long as you believe that you're this person, then it's a very subtle way in which now I think I have an ego, and now I have something to either point fingers to, oh, it's my ego. But what we're pointing to here is that you simply are what I am. Now, I don't have an ego. Ego is the belief in separation itself. So the fact that I believe that I'm a body, that is what an ego would be. Now, instead of saying, for example, my ego makes me feel or whatever, I can simply say, okay, there's a sensation happening, means nothing. There's feelings and thoughts happening, they mean nothing. And that way, I don't have to give reality to a seeming character that we label it ego. Because believe it or not, that is what keeps reinforcing the belief that I am a separate entity, you see? So just look at life as is, you know, not personal. You don't have an ego. You just simply have the experience of feeling that you're something separate from it all. That's pretty much more accurate to what we're pointing here. But what I am is, see, that's where words eventually, the course itself tells you this course will lead you to knowledge, but it's beyond words. You see? So right now you cannot deny the fact that you are. And that is pure experiencing. This is undeniable. There's no ego, there's nothing, there's just what is. And in the what isness, which is what is, feelings will appear, sensations will appear, thoughts will appear. And you see on the mind, which that would be an ego is the mind. The mind try to give meaning to all that stuff because that is how it hides the belief that it is that it is a mind, there is a thought that appears in all there is. So just life is. Life is. That's why the more this becomes crystal clear, the stories begin to wither away because you realize that stories only pertain to the character, you know? So I don't awaken. I don't become enlightened. I am. See? And you rest in the I am. And all you need to do is observe how the mind, it's trying to fight for its identity. And sometimes the way it fights to its identity is to even talk about incredible things that seems to happen, you know? But who is the one talking about it? You see? So that idea of an ego, I usually kind of step away from it altogether because, again, that's the last place where the mind hides. Oh, it's my ego. Yeah, but who is saying that I have an ego? Who's that one saying that I have an ego? The ego itself. You see the trap? It's subtle, but now you just be. Life is, you know. I am. When in the Bible talk about Jesus or something like that, they accuse him. You are called the son of Abraham. He says, no. Before Abraham, I am. In other words, before the concept Abraham, which is a word that is invented, before that, I am. So right now you are. You always are. You'll never not be until the thought me, Norman, appears. Now I am Norman, and now I have an ego. No. Before all of that, I am. This is it.
Okay, we've come to the end of our time together. Thank you, Nick. That was wonderful. And take yourself off mute and express your appreciation to Nick.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Nick.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.